Hey guys, Project Zodiac here. I'm back with another video review, and in this video, we're reviewing the fourth Karate Kid movie, The Next Karate Kid. So this isn't one I've seen too often. I think I've only seen it 2 or 3 times, counting the time I just watched it now. So yeah, rewatching it was really interesting for sure. I'll talk about that in a little bit. So if you guys aren't aware, I've been reviewing all of the Karate Kid movies. I'm going to be reviewing the Cobra Kai TV show, all in anticipation for the release of the newest Karate Kid movie, The Karate Kid's Legend. Sorry, I said the name wrong. Karate Kid Legends. So that comes out at the end of this month, and I'm super excited for it. The Karate Kid movies is one of my favorites. Especially that original one and the sequel to it. They're so good, and I really relate so much to Daniel and to his relationship with Mr. Miyagi as well. So, yeah, I have a lot to say about this one in particular. If you don't want to hear my full in-depth thoughts, I'm just going to give you guys a very quick summary of what I think about the movie, and then I'll go into a bigger in-depth thought. If you want to see all of the other videos, there is a Karate Kid video playlist on my channel, so please check that out. With all that said, let's go straight into this. So this is the fourth Karate Kid movie, but it's the first one without Daniel. And that could be upsetting for some people, but at least Mr. Miyagi is in this movie, and that's awesome because he's still Mr. Miyagi. And overall, I mean, this movie is very interesting because the relationship between Mr. Miyagi and Julie, who is the new Karate Kid, is very different than his with Daniel. Especially since Julie's a girl, she thinks and acts way differently than Daniel does, so Mr. Miyagi kind of has to adjust to that. So it is interesting to see that. I think that their relationship was done pretty good, not as good as Daniel, obviously. And really, this movie itself, it was just entertaining. I think it is the worst one so far. But it's not bad or anything like that. It is very focused mostly on Julie overcoming her anger, and not as much on karate. And I'll go into a little bit more detail on that later. But I do think they could have handled the movie a little bit differently in some aspects. But overall, it's a fine, fun movie. It's not one that I don't recommend watching. If you love the Karate Kid, then yeah, you should definitely watch this one. It's fun. So with all that said, that's my quick thoughts on this movie. If you now want to stick for my in-depth thoughts, please do, because I have a lot to say about it. So let's go straight into that. Now this section will have spoilers. So what I really think about the movie is all of what I just explained, but also more about the there's a lot of things that this movie didn't handle it very good. Let's talk about the things that it did. Mr. Miyagi and him trying to handle a girl rather than a boy. I thought that was really funny. There was a lot of moments. And then, since this is also the movie without Daniel, it is a little bit interesting. Just because, you kind of picture and wonder, are they going to address the fact that Daniel is not in this movie? And in one of those scenes where Mr. Miyagi is still getting used to taking care of a girl instead of a boy, it's when he just opens the door and he's like, oh no, I'm so sorry. And then he just walks out and she's super mad. And then he explains that living with a boy is easier, and that he used to live with his friend Daniel, and they would just enter each other's rooms without knocking or anything because it's just two dudes. So I liked that. However, I like that they mentioned Daniel, but what I don't like, and this is one of my complaints with this movie, is that even though they do mention Daniel, they don't really mention anything other than that. All it says is Mr. Miyagi says, I used to live with my friend Daniel, and we would just go into each other's rooms. So what is it that happened with Daniel? Why is Daniel never brought up again? Daniel was a hothead. He didn't have anger issues, but he was impulsive when he was annoyed or stressed or mad. So he did have a hot head, but Mr. Miyagi could have given examples of Daniel to explain to Julie and have Julie ask like how Daniel had been, why he's not living with Mr. Miyagi anymore. Those were all very important things that needed to be addressed and stated, but it wasn't. So that's one of my very first like immediate complaints with the movie. And then the other complaint is really, as I said, this movie doesn't really focus on karate. It focuses mostly on Julie overcoming her anger issues and her grief. And again, that's fine, that's great. Um, but the movie itself just it's mostly just focused on Mr. Miyagi just trying to get her to be distracted, and really the karate element is barely there. So I feel like that's lacking in a movie called The Next Karate Kid, because there isn't a tournament. She's not really being, I mean, she is being bullied a little bit, but it's mostly, and that's another one of my complaints, but it's mostly just a group of stupid guys who are basically hall monitors. I'll talk about that in a little bit because that's my next complaint. So like the bullying, like she's not being punched. She is being harassed, sure, for sure. But it's not something that requires karate to be dealing with, because she's not being punched. She's not, in a physical sense of a danger for most of the movie. So the karate element in this movie is very little, and that's really upsetting because it's the Karate Kid. So, I mean, we do get to spend a lot of time with Julie, and at first I really didn't like her. She's just super bitter and rude and not caring. Even if she's, processing her grief and stuff like that, that's, again, understandable, but it's with every little tiny thing. And while in some aspects it's realistic, in other aspects it's like you guys are kind of writing that a little too much, because that there are moments where people are calmer. And thankfully, though, you do see Julie like loosen up a little bit and talking with Mr. Miyagi, and she gets better as the movie goes on. So I did like that, but I just do think they could have had a little bit more of those moments where she's still very bitter at everything, but has moments where she loosens up a little bit with the people around her. But I can't complain too much because her arc in this movie is actually really well done. It is really, really well done. She is like a totally different person at the end of the movie than she was at the start. And I thought that was beautiful because it really shows Mr. Miyagi's heart in trying to help people and putting care and love into that, and how she was able to overcome her grief and focus on life and on appreciating things, and I thought that was really beautiful, how much she grew in this movie. So really, I do think that her development was done really good. I just think that the beginning part they needed to loosen up a little bit with the bitterness. And then in regards to the karate, again, I'm gonna get to the complaint about the villains, but yeah, the karate itself, there isn't even a tournament, and that's fine. There doesn't need to be a tournament, but there's no, like, the big final fight in this movie is really like just the one fight, and it's just done so quickly. Like, Julie just shows up, and like her boyfriend's being attacked, and then she's there with the jerks, and then she decides to step up and fight, and then she just kicks them once, and then they're done. So it's just like, okay, I mean, that was fast, like it didn't feel like an actual serious situation and fight in that moment. Now that leads into my big complaint with the villains. My complaint with the villains is that the villains are literally just a boy band hall monitor group that are basically designed as robot wannabes, like robots trying to be a punky uh, jerk. That's what it is. Like, I'm sorry if like the order of that didn't make sense. What I'm trying to say is they all act like a hive, like mindless robots that are in a boy band that's literally just boys, hall monitors, because they are just hall monitors, trying to pretend to be jerks and punky. And it just comes off so unnaturally. And it's not the actor's fault, it's the way that they were written. So, again, this is an issue with the writing. Um, it just comes off really bland. Things they do just is out of nowhere. Like, for no reason at all, they decide to just jump from the ceiling of the gym and like bungee jump down, and then and like, what was the point of that? It literally went nowhere. And yes, I mean, in movies we have scenes that literally go nowhere, but literally, what was the point of that? Why are you guys in this gym and deciding to, during this prom, deciding to do a bungee jump just to cause a commotion, and then nothing goes on from that commotion? It's just like a random insert in the dance. It would be one thing if they included that and then there was more stuff that happens in regards to that. Like, yes, one guy broke his arm when he did that, and that's kind of what leads eventually to the big fight at the end, because that's at the end of the movie. But really, the only thing that led to that was Julie's boyfriend just saying, like, to the leader of the group, like, you're an idiot, and then the dude getting pissed off and then just going after them. Like, it it just made no sense how that led to the final confrontation. So that's what I mean. And there's a lot of moments like that in this movie. Again, that's because of the writing. So a lot of it just felt like they needed to make the time go quicker or go longer, and they just threw in something random. And then these villains are just there. Like, they're not menacing. They're just literally jerks, and so dull and pretending that they're jerks. And it was just really bad. Um, and like, to make it worse, like, it's not even them. It's like there's a professor that supervises them, and that professor acts like them too. So it's like you guys are trying to do Kreese and the Cobra Kais, but giving none of them actual development or care or character. They're just like literally a mind hive robot that is trying um, to act punky and then doing their jobs as home monitors. It was really, really badly done. Um, and in terms of other complaints, really, it's just mostly just that, to be honest. The things that I did like, again, is Mr. Miyagi and Julie's relationship, him being like a father figure to her or a grandfather figure to her, I thought was very, very nice, because he is her grandfather's friend. So I think their relationship came off more of like a granddaughter and grandfather, as opposed to Daniel's father and son relationship with Mr. Miyagi. So I thought that their relationship was really good. I I love when they go to the monk. Um, I forgot the word for it, but the monk space that they went to, and they spent 2 weeks there. I loved it. That whole section was my favorite of the movie. And it was just really nice to see Julie like interacting with the monks, and them, like her going in one of the temples there, thinking that she was alone just to dance. And then the monks just come and she gets embarrassed, so she leaves, and then they slowly start dancing. Like, there is so much fun interactions during that whole sequence of them being there with the monks. So I love that scene, and honestly, that's the thing that I remember the most from this movie. It was that. And yeah, but overall, I mean, it is a fine movie. It is fun, but the writing for it is definitely not as good as the other ones. And it is just very fast paced as well. And I feel like just a lot of it doesn't really go anywhere. It really does feel like a chick flick with Mr. Miyagi trying to help this girl control her anger. That's literally what this feels more like, instead of a movie based around karate and using karate to help her really control her anger. There's a little bit of that there, but it's really not the focus. It's just everything else. Um, but oh yeah, overall, it's a fine, decent movie. If you watch it on its own, yeah, it will be okay. Watching it as a sequel to the Karate Kid series, I mean, it's the worst one. But at least it's more Mr. Miyagi, so that is cool. But yeah, guys, that's my thoughts on the next Karate Kid. Oh, also, I am still upset that Julie never shows up in Cobra Kai. I don't know why they didn't do that, because so many people from the previous movies show up in Cobra Kai, but Julie didn't. And when I was watching this movie, I was thinking, wait, I, did Daniel's love interest from the second movie show up in Cobra Kai? Because I don't remember her being there. Because if she didn't, then why didn't she? She should have. But maybe they didn't, I'm just not remembering it. But for Julie, I know for a fact Julie did not show up, because even when the last season came on, I'm like, please, they have to include Julie in this season. They have to, because just about everyone else was brought back. So why can't they bring back Julie? And they didn't. So that's gonna be a complaint for Cobra Kai when I review that. But yeah, I just wanted to say that before I forget, in case I do forget it during my review for Cobra Kai. But I'm going to do that review literally right after this one, so probably not. But yeah, let me know what you think of this one. Let me know which Karate Kid is your least favorite and which one is your favorite. With all that said, guys, when you come subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. Have a good day.